Welcome, everybody. It's Wednesday, January 22nd. It is time for Tripwire. We have a fantastic freaking guest on for our show tonight. Staci and I both know him. Daniel Fornicola. This is going to be freaking fantastic. Yep, I got it right. This is going to be a fantastic podcast. Such an amazing story. Looking forward to it. Staci, my dear, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm good. Cold. I'm cold. But other than that,
so it happens. It happens during winter. So just messing around because I love the cold and I know you don't. So
no, not at all.
Without further ado, let me do a check-in. How have you been since last week when we had our last podcast? How are we doing?
Good. Been busy. I went to the Moose Lodge in Batavia with some of my friends. One of my good friends' husband likes to sing Judas Priest, and he is his song choices are quite the crowd pleaser at the Moose Lodge in Batavia. My friend Michelle she sings amazing, and she's really, really good. And I mean, I can do a mean I love rock and roll, but that's pretty much where I stop these days. But we had a super good time at the Moose Lodge.
That's awesome. That was a karaoke.
Oh yeah, it was actually so good. I gave him my card. I told him I'd like to hire him to do some gigs with us at the VFW. He was awesome. Yeah. He had an amazing setup. Legit.
That's great. Great to see you. Very great to see you. Let's, without further ado, how about we bring Daniel in, because Daniel's got an amazing story, and I want to let our listeners know, our audience know today that this is one of two, because Daniel's story is, there's just so much gravity and so much weight to it, and I think it's extremely important that we get this story across, and I don't want to cut him down to just 54 minutes like we are.
I mean, this could be a part 2 and 3. He's got some powerful things to say that I feel like will resonate with, our viewers and listeners.
Agreed.
Sure. Yeah.
Without further ado, let's bring Daniel in. Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm actually doing great, Steve. Thank you, Staci, for having me on. I really do appreciate being here on Tripwire.
Our pleasure.
We're honored to have you on here with us, brother. We really are.
Thank you.
Now that we have built this up, I'm just going to let you go with it and just say, okay, so where did your journey start with the United States military, and we'll go from there.
Well, not to be indelicate, but I started with the glimmer in my dad's eye. He was already in the Navy, so that's where I started with the military.
Man.
Yeah. We'll see. But
earning bonus points with my co-host. That's awesome.
Well, my father was a machinist mate on submarines. So he did the tough job being locked in a tube for months on end. That's something I really, really, really did not want to do. But I did know that joining the military was part of my future. In addition to him serving 23 years, he retired, blue card holder, the whole thing. My mother also was a bosun's mate back when, and some of these listeners will definitely remember this, back when bosun's mates on tugboats were part of the Navy.
Yeah.
So that's a little while ago. So they met in Groton, blah, 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 blah. They had my brother, then me, and then we moved to outside Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia Beach. And then I was there for 17 years, when he was doing his thing.
You got more siblings?
No, I only have the one. He actually went Army too. So I had 2 Navy parents, have 2 Army children. So that was the biggest slap in the face that I could muster as a 7-year-old.
I can't imagine what Thanksgiving was like when that happened with the 2 of you. That's amazing.
It was actually gets to be pretty fun around early December with the Army-Navy game. My mom, she kind of dropped the running.
Yeah.
Yeah, she never really cared about football much, but she does care enough to say go Navy beat Army only when talking to her sons. So it's nice.
I got you.
Yeah.
Well, I was a department of the Navy, and then I went Army. So, but that's for another podcast. So, let's talk about you went active duty. Let's talk about your journey getting into active duty.
It also starts with my mother telling me to go to college, because if it wasn't for her, then I would have enlisted, and she wanted me to have more options. So that was the first thing. So she wasn't discouraging military service. She was just wanting me to really take a look at it and see what was out there for me. She always wants me to, be out of harm's way, but she was also very much for my military service. So I did community college for 2 years. I went to a 4-year school, and I actually went to ROTC at Virginia Commonwealth University, and they were a satellite school of the University of Richmond. So the University of Richmond holds the overall commissioning program, but then they had satellite schools, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm familiar.
Army ROTC was how I did it through the University of Richmond. My first commander was Lieutenant Colonel Richard D. Gillum. That man was carved out of stone, and he was unyielding in his standards. And I actually hated it to start, to be honest, because I was like, there is no way any person is just so willing and able to drill into details that it was amazing. And then after I got commissioned, I went down to Oklahoma for 6 months, and then I went to airborne school. Then I went to what is now called Fort Liberty, but as I will always call it, Fort Bragg.
Okay, so let's talk real quick about going to Oklahoma. What did you do? What did you go to Oklahoma for?
So that was for artillery school. It wasn't knife and fork school like the OCS guys, because they draw that out over 2 years. But when I went there, it was a really intensive fire hydrant. It was ballistics. It was the weapons platforms. It was every manner of indirect fire and planning it that you can think of. And after 6 months and slowly blowing Oklahoma away, actually, one of the coolest parts was we actually had JTACs, the Joint Terminal Air Controllers.
Okay. I know who they are. Yeah.
Yep. So from your Marines, they came by and they were dropping JDAMs from A-10s on our firing range, and that was one of the coolest things I ever saw from the Marines. Also, the only cool thing I ever saw from the Marines that day.
Well, okay, we'll expand upon that as we dive into this. But not to stop your story with the audience, but I appreciate the acknowledgement there, the short one. Okay, so you went to Oklahoma, and then you went to, that was your first school as an officer?
Yep, it was.
Okay, and then where did you go after that?
I went to Fort Benning, what was previously known as Benning. I went there for jump school. I actually broke my foot in the second week, so Tower Week. It was a stress fracture. Yeah. So the stress fracture in my foot pushed me back 2 weeks, so I got recycled to a different company, but I finished and I got to Fort Bragg. Pretty much right as they were assuming GRF. No, sorry, they had come back from GRF. They were in Haiti for a few months, and then when they came back, I joined up with them.
You were in Benning.
Oh, that was the last week of August and all of September. So 5 weeks instead of the 3 of 2010. 2010.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
I was already going. Because I was actually I was part of the EOD team on Fort Benning, and we handled all the Ranger ranges and all. I was there as the EOD. I was part of the EOD team that was attached to Fort Benning or part of Fort Benning, but I left in 2006, so I'm still older than you. So we'll just throw that up. So All right. So
How
you
old
went
are
to
you? How old are you, Daniel? Sorry, I had to interrupt for a second. How old are you?
I turned
You're
37 last year.
Yeah, I think I thought you were in your 30s. How long were you in the Army?
Uh, I was only able to do 4 years, 8 months due to my injuries.
So, yeah, you did a lot of stuff in 4 years. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
So
remarkable. Keep going.
Thank you. So in October of 2010, I get to my unit, and that unit is actually the second brigade, the second light brigade of the 82nd. So artillery can go multiple places, but long story short, they had me go be a fire supporter with 1325. So 1st Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, the Red Falcons, because it's the Falcon Brigade. And they told me I was going to go be a fire supporter there. So I'm with all the infantry captains and all these rangers that are just so high speed. And then they're like, oh, we already got the guy. You need to go back to where you came from. And it was like, oh, so I go back. So they're like, okay, don't worry about it. Just go back to Black Falcons, which is 2nd Battalion.
Why does never get crossed when when their orders are coming down?
Thankfully, it's a very efficient, non-mistake making system.
Sure.
Yeah,
I'm totally enjoying all of your sarcasm with all of that comment.
yeah. For as much as I have sarcasm, I would not trade anything that happened on that post for anything. I would not.
I get it.
Yeah.
By all means,
absolutely.
please continue. My apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So I get back to Black Falcons, which is 2nd Battalion, 319th Airborne FA Regiment. Artillery, red legs. Fire guys.
Yep.
So they send me down to Bravo Battery, and we have 105 millimeter howitzers. So the M119 Alpha 2. This is before they went to the 3 variant, and that was whatever. That was after my time. But I get there, and I'm actually a fire direction officer. And any of the other fires guys will know that this is a highly specialized job that no one likes unless you're kind of a nerd, because it's a ton of information processing. It just numbers out the wazoo. So I actually fell in love. I actually fell in love with that. I had a small team of 6 guys and my chief. And just real quick, I don't know their ranks now because we did kind of lose touch, but I do know at the time it was Staff Sergeant Luis Rosa. He was like one of my first chiefs. So knowledgeable. He whipped my ass into shape. So thank you very much for that. Tim Zielinski, he was a sergeant when he first took my FDC. Then he got promoted while he was with me. That guy was the realest, most on mission guy. He could joke with the best of them, but he had a switch, and I loved flipping that switch because go time with him was the funnest thing I have ever done crunching numbers. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome.
So he was there for the time, I do believe, when it was 2 a.m. in the middle of December, and we were firing into Coleman drop zone, and I ran out of safety tees. So I had about, 60 people waiting on me to rip pieces of paper and then draw boxes and put numbers in them. And it took about a half an hour. And that was the last time I ever made a mistake because I was qualified the very next day.
Qualified. That's awesome. Good deal, man.
Yeah, that was a real fun time. So I don't know if I'm, doesn't matter. So qualifying as a penance for my mistakes, they said you're going to be qualified tomorrow. I was like, what does that mean? They said, don't worry about it. So immediately I was scared. Immediately. Just whatever E6s and an E7 tell you, don't worry about it. You should immediately have your radar be peaked.
Immediately worry about it.
Immediately
worry about it. Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that is more scary than that is when a warrant says, hold my beer.
You know what? I'm just going to throw everything up in the air and walk away when a warrant says, hold my beer.
Pretty
Absolutely.
much. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is. Yeah. So what they did was they made me hang upside down on a tree for 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And which is actually the FM 640, which is the gunnery manual. So that was where all the information came from. So about minute 2, I start sliding down. Minute 4, I'm about like a foot from the ground, and then minute 5, my head is in the grass and it's wet.
Yeah.
So what do you think they were doing to this tree all day?
Peeing on it.
Peeing on it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. So fun. The best.
Yep.
But I would not trade Staff Sergeant Anderson. What was it? Musquiz was in a different platoon, but you had Meinhardt, you had, oh man, I know you had Smoke Carthon, and I'm so sorry I'm forgetting my gunny, but man, that was the funniest thing that I had ever been through, but it also taught me the value of teamwork and to lean on your people and to trust those that, are with you in these units. Because, I mean, I had been military, my whole life in a way, with my father, treating me, like I was on a ship. But that right there was the first like real introduction to the military. So that was my first introduction to brotherhood, the difficulties, being on your shit, doing it for those guys around you. That was the moment. As funny as it was the moment.
So Daniel, we don't here on Tripwire, we don't turn away from what could be considered hazing at some point in time, and I'll throw that out there because everybody has a lesson to learn, and Staci and I've been, I mean, we went in in the early 90s.
Yeah, anything goes back then.
Yeah, and in order to freaking cut the muster and be a part of the freaking team and to be the best that you could be, you had to freaking get to the point where life just taught you a lesson, and your fellow constituents helped you build yourself and strengthen yourself, which is what we call hazing. It's not what everybody else calls hazing, but that's what we call hazing. To drive on and freaking be a part of the team. And, for you to get your legs that way, that's awesome. That's amazing. I'm glad that you're so feel good about it. Just like, this is the best moment of my learning curve moving forward. I mean, because we all went through education. We all went through some military school. That doesn't mean we learned everything.
That is exceptional.
On the job training.
Well, with this whole being broken down, when you get broken down to that low point and you're with your brothers and sisters, you're with your people, your comrades, you are all broken down together, and then you rise back up together and help each other. I mean, that is the epitome of teamwork. I mean, this is why so many corporate programs, they want that military. Hey, let's play military, and let's use their principles and their concepts for team building, and a lot of times they've got a veteran that's there, and then they bring them in, or there's companies that you can hire, because these companies benefit when they're all broken down, when they're dressed down, and then they have to help each other succeed again. And that's, I mean, those are some of my more memorable moments, my 12 years. Like, I totally can pick those out, just like you do, where most people are like, those are my bad memories, but those are what created who I am.
Absolutely.
And she actually nailed it when she said dress down, because that's a term that's more acceptable to today's society than what we call hazing when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's move away from the hazing comment, and we'll go back to the dressing down of things, so that, I don't get a call later on after this podcast about, well, you had hazing on your podcast and blah, blah, blah. So, regardless of who was, brought into office 2 days ago, point being is that I'm glad that you had that moment with your people, because even leaders need the rug pulled out from underneath them every once in a while, just so that they understand the capabilities of the youngins or the others that are their subordinates, that can help them be better leaders, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I went into the military knowing, and this was one of the things my dad, imparted on me, was that, and the funny way of saying it, you ain't been trained until you've been trained by a chief, is the Navy way of saying it. And for me, it was just go in open-minded. Yeah. Go in saying to yourself, I don't know shit, but maybe in a nicer way, depending on who you are. And you just have to realize that you're not here to be a shining star. You're there to serve a purpose. And as an officer, your purpose is a little bit different, but it is at its core the same. You have to do what you have to do to know your job, so the people to the left and right of you survive. Total victory. That's what we are, trained to do in the military. It's like you get the job done, you next man up, mentality, and then you go and do it. And you can't be effective. Right. You can't learn to progress into that role that will mentor the next fresh wave of people that come in, unless you have some space left open to learn. Because if you I was told this by my I think it was my grandmother or my mother, but she said, it is very hard to fill a cup that is already full. And I think I just remember where I heard that. It was from Avatar. So not my parents, but they did say it, but I heard it from Avatar as well. But yeah, they say that you can't fill a cup that's already full. So if you go into the military thinking that you know everything, then you're just going to fail. So after I had that qualification, my team picked me back up. They said, "Hey, sir, you good?" I said, "I don't know." And they were like, "Well," so they said, don't. They said, "Don't sweat it. We actually set up your sleeping bag in the back of the AP truck." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, we fished out your gear and you're ready to go down. We'll take the guard." I said, "Why?" Yeah. They say, "Because you got studying to do." Oh, okay, all right. So, it was good. It was good. And then I actually had it wasn't Fergie, it wasn't Hamilton. I think it was Mercado. He was my chart operator. He actually was like, I'll go through it with you. And this is an 01 learning from an E3. And if that doesn't exemplify what you should be doing as a leader, learning from everyone, then I don't know why you're in the military.
Agreed.
I like that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. That's a great quote right there, bro. Great quote.
Yeah.
We can all learn from each other.
Absolutely. And then I did learn a lot more from the other officers as well after that. They gave me more, things to look out for, like left door parachutes, right door parachutes, more things about chem light batteries, exhaust samples, all those things.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I didn't mean to, with this commentary, I didn't mean to derail you, because you have an amazing story to share, and I want you to continue with it, please, because as I mentioned once before, this is one of 2 episodes with you, sir, and Staci and I are very, very happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you very much. So after that, I did my fire direction time, and then we got deployed to the Anbar province for Operation New Dawn, and I think it was the end of May of 2011. So we did our workup before that.
And for the audience, that's the Anbar province is in
the western. It is the westernmost province of Iraq. So from there. So Anbar actually borders central Iraq, it contains Fallujah as well. So the Anbar province has Al Assad in the northwest, and you keep on following the road down. You actually end up going through Fallujah and Baghdad, and then you enter a different province and go down to Kuwait. So that's what I did. I went over there.
Right.
I didn't have a combat mission. I just had a platoon doing convoy operations, security operations, advise and assist. And then we got a mission change as soon as we got there. They said, I hope you brought your gunnery books. You're going to Al Assad to set up a fire base. So I did that. And then I actually got relieved of that about 2 months in, because we had a new guy come in. That was Lieutenant Caesar. And then it was Lieutenant Ritchie. He replaced him. But when Caesar came in, they said I had to go be the executive officer of the headquarters battery. So I was in Bravo. I was a bull. I was bull 10, and then I was bull 16, and then I became Havoc 5. So HHB headquarters battery, 2nd 319th. I was Havoc 5 under Captain Graw, Captain Daniel Graw. I'm pretty sure he's lieutenant colonel now. I think he's in line for battalion command. I'm not sure, but if not, he should be. That was the best leader I had followed up until then, and actually, I would say since. He was one of the best people to learn from, because
It's amazing how those things are sticking in your head.
Yeah, I mean,
I can remember Colonel Stammer from my time in 05 in Afghanistan, supporting his battalion. Colonel Stammer, who I believe retired as General Stammer, but you always remember those officers, those leaders that always they left their mark, and you'd follow them till the end of your days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Daniel, he told me to, it was full send. It was full send or nothing. And the most shocking part about that is that he was relentless. He was like, we get things done, but we care about the people as we do it, which was alien to me, because in OBC, whatever you want to call it now, Bullock, I don't know what they call it now, but you're taught just know your job, get the job done the best you can, and then lead. But it was leading first, and that will facilitate all of your mission completion. So that was one of the best things I ever learned from that man. Was also, don't let a single sensitive item go. That was it. That's what I learned from that guy. Was don't let anyone take the nods or a weapon, and then just make sure that you take care of the people, so that way you get your job done. And he took that to a next level, and he actually gave me the chance to prove it. He actually went stateside for about a month, so I was actually the acting commander for about a month in theater as a first lieutenant. So that was one of the most challenging things and scariest things I've ever done. I mean, when you go into the military, you think, oh, I'll get deployed and it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But once you get there and you actually get your orders, you get your unit, you get your taskings, it is a whole different feel that I just had to embrace. And he allowed me to embrace it. It was actually pretty wonderful. Yeah. And nice. after that, nice. when we
please
go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just saying, please continue.
Gotcha. So it's okay. So one of the things that they tried to haze me with in theater, because the hazing never stops. I'm kidding. The hazing does stop, but no, they wanted to play a joke on me because we had a fire base up on a cliff, and they decided to try and tape me to the barrel, but the metal was too hot, so they didn't do it. But that was Al Assad was a really cool time. And then we convoyed out. It took 3 days. We convoyed out. And then when we redeployed, that was part of my job too. So when I was there, I turned in and redeployed over $30 million of equipment, 125 people. No one got injured. No one lost a life. Everyone came back home. So
that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you. It was.
What was next after that?
So when we came back, I was actually switched to a different job. I went back to go being a fire supporter, but I got sent over to 2nd Battalion, 325th. So that's the White Falcons. And I went over to Charlie Company. I was Charlie 40. So I was the fire support officer for Charlie Company, and that was also a really cool thing that I got to do. I got to control mortars and talk to helicopters and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Still in Iraq.
Go ahead.
Still in Iraq.
No, sorry. We had redeployed from Kuwait. So to finish out the previous story with Black Falcons. So Black Falcons, when I became the executive officer, I then saw that through up until redeployment in November. And then when we came back at the end of November, I was switched to fire support with White Falcons, I do believe in January or February. So this is 12.
Yeah.
And so then I start my career as a fire supporter with Charlie Company at that time. So that's still in Fort Bragg. That's Charlie 2325.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just our audience following where you're at. I mean, it's a big cold out there, brother.
Can I ask a quick question? Absolutely. So with me being Navy, right? So there's a lot of this stuff. What is fire support?
Okay,
tell me what that job, a little bit about what that job is.
So fire support is a division of artillery. It's where you make the indirect fire plans. So anything involving mortars, howitzers, talking to helicopters or planes for close combat attack or close air support if it's required. Usually we would have for fixed wing, which is the close air support, I do believe. Those guys had a special job, but that's what I did. I planned with a captain, an infantry captain. I planned all of the things I would do for him. So if he wanted me to fire on a objective before he got there, that's what I would do. If he wanted to have a smoke screen in front of him, and then have it, turned off as he arrived to the objective. That way the enemy couldn't see him before he got there. That's what I would do. All of the calculations for how long he needs the smoke, how long the screen is for, how long it needs to go for, all of those things I would figure out and put into the maneuver plan. So the infantry command captain makes his plan, and then he's like, "Hey, Lieutenant, I need all these things." So then I make a plan, outlining as many things as I can, and then I say, "All right, here's what's available to you. You wanted 10 things, I can get you 3, and here's how they're going to work. Does that work for you?" And then he'll tell me yes or no. And if he says yes, then I'm done. If he tells me no, I go back to work. It's essentially what that one is. It's just a lot of go-betweens and making battle plans force multiplied with outside tools, essentially.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you. And then and what is the White Falcons?
So the White Falcons is the mascot of the 2nd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment. So 2nd Brigade, 82nd Airborne is one level above that. So that brigade is called the
unit insignia.
It's Falcons. Is there kind of?
It's a unit. It's a unit insignia.
Unit insignia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how the Navy looks at it, brother.
Dan. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the insignia that you would see is a falcon.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. All right. Okay.
Team mascot.
Continue. Team mascot. Continue, please.
Team mascot. All right. Okay. All right. Hit guys with the Navy. Okay.
That's the way it is, man. It's
true. It's
Go
true.
ahead.
But no.
Continue. Go ahead.
Everyone was a color and a falcon except for the support battalion. They were gold griffins. So when you bounce around like a big, think of a brigade like a ship. You've got different departments, and if you gave each department a little mascot, that's what it is essentially.
Okay.
So
Got it.
To equate it that way. Now for the Air Force, I don't know how to equate it. I just know
we're not going to go into that. We're not going to go into that right now.
Ouch.
They're too corporate. We're not going to do that right now. We're not going to do that.
We'd have to stop cussing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we'd have to put on suits, and we're not wearing those right now. So this is not a board meeting. This is not a board meeting. This is a podcast. This is a tripwire, and we don't do Air Force board meetings here. So please continue.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'm with Charlie Company, the White Falcons. I'm doing my job there, and it's pretty much, I would say, same ice cream, different flavor. It's just a small team. It's small team ops, and you just go and do your thing. And about 9 months into this, I actually had a bad jump. So for all of the non-airborne people out there, a bad jump means you got hurt when you exited an airplane and on re-entry, if you want to call it that. Like you just get hurt, landing on the drop zone. And anybody else that's been to Fort Bragg / Liberty, whatever you want to call it, that any field landing strip on a drop zone is very hard because planes land on it. Yeah. So I had
how many?
I jumped from 800 to 1,000. It depended on the parachute. So one
Understood,
parachute,
but that's the bad jump. That's the bad jump.
Yeah, the bad jump. So that one I do believe was November of 12. I hit so hard I knocked myself out.
Yeah.
So at that point, my body composition was like 240. I was just all legs and shoulders from all the ruck marches and the PT that we were doing. So I was actually, I do believe I was overweight under canopy. So there's a weight limit, and if you are over it, then you fall faster than you're supposed to safely. So that's what ended up happening to me.
Right.
Some of us affectionately call that lawn darting.
Well, so just for the audience's understanding, there's a difference between lawn darting and cigaring in.
That is correct. Yeah. So this was not one of those things where I had a huge malfunction. I did not.
Right.
Everything's open.
Not cigar in, you lawn darted in, which means you're just too heavy for the canopy.
Correct. Yeah. So instead of falling at the usual rate of speed, it was faster. So, obviously more force. And I was probably about 375 or 400 pounds under canopy with all of my gear, me and the chute and the weapon.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. So this is actually where it starts to get kind of rough for my career. So the first bad jump that I had. Yeah, oh absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So November of that year, I, had the bad jump. I went to the emergency room. They checked me out for a concussion. I had a concussion. They went through concussion protocol, and they released me. And then I was sent back to my unit, and they wrote me a profile or a chit, whatever you guys call it in the Navy. I think it's a chit, but for the Army, it's a profile for limited duty. Yeah. So with the head injury, I had real bad headaches and I had trouble focusing. Like literally, my eyes had trouble focusing near to far. And after
from getting knocked out.
Yeah, for getting knocked out. So okay. To backtrack to the actual moment that it happened, when I hit, everything went black for about what felt like a couple seconds, and then I woke up staring at blue, and then I, unhooked my parachute, and just training took over. And then How long were you
unconscious?
I don't know. It probably was no more than a couple seconds, I would think, because it wasn't like I had moved from my parachute catching wind or anything like that. I was just on the ground, and my parachute was still actually deflated. So it couldn't have been that long. It couldn't have been that long. But
nobody was able to run up to you at the time?
No. I mean, we had that one was a mass tactical jump, so you got people going out really quick from both sides, so you get kind of scattered.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah. So I don't know how long I was out. I think it was for only for a couple seconds. But when I came to, I just kind of took a second. I was like, I just breathed. I was like, oh, what the hell happened? And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna just start doing my thing. So
Yep.
yeah, so when I got to the like the collection point, I went and saw the doc, and they were like, "What happened?" I told them what happened. I lost consciousness, and they said, "All right, you're going to the hospital." So I did. Yeah. Um, I wasn't there for that long, actually. I was only there for probably like 4 or 5 hours for observation to make sure I was all right. You know, doing balance tests and neurological tests, and I passed. But they more or less, after about a 2 week profile of, hey, take it easy, it was like do limited duty as far as like don't do, I think it was like don't run for like 2 weeks because of like my blood pressure, like don't like overly exert myself, like go for walks in the morning or something like that,
Yeah.
which made me feel really helpless, and I hated it because, you know, no one wants to be, you know, told that they can't do their job that they love, you know, and you know, you're not doing it with your guys, you're not doing all the hard stuff with them, so you're losing out. You know, I felt like I was losing out.
Yeah. Like I'm weaker than my constituents.
Yeah, you know, it just didn't feel right that when they would go on the long runs on Mondays and Fridays, I wasn't going with them
Yeah.
because yeah, you know, like I was a runner. I mean, I did my best 2 mile in 10:40. So all my guys hated the fact that I would run like a 2 minute mile pace for like 3.5, 4 miles. Like it was like, but you know, that's one of the things. Like you got to take care of yourself so you can come back and lead your troops. You know, like you can't lead broken. You're just not as effective. So the
Understood.
hardest,
But how
yeah.
did that work itself out?
Well,
Let us in the audience know how that worked itself out, because
it
it
didn't.
did not work itself out well.
It did not work out at all. So after about 2 months, I do believe they said, "Well, your currency for your jumps is, you know, you're approaching the time where you have to jump again to keep on getting your jump pay." So I said, "Okay." I mean, it. Are you serious? I mean, I had a concussion 2 months ago, and there's a traumatic brain injury program at Womack Medical Center at Fort Bragg/Liberty, and I went through that whole pipeline for the next 3 additional brain injuries that I sustained in a 9 month period. So,
Dude.
no, yeah, November of 12, I do believe that was the first one, and then it was about 2.5, 3 months later, I had another jump. I had a bad jump then too. I had a concussion in the same exact way because I went backwards, and I was coming down so fast that they tell you to tuck your chin, but I was
Yeah.
going so fast it just whipped backwards. So it was a concussion in that manner 4 times over.
Couldn't keep the signature PLF that they tell you to keep.
No, no, no. It definitely did not work that time.
No,
Unfortunately.
brother, I get
Yeah.
it. I'm right there with you. I'm trying to share this information with our audience, so that way they understand exactly
Yeah.
what you've been through, because this is massively traumatic right here.
Yeah, so this is actually where it starts to pick up speed, and we're probably going to have to get to this the next time in the next part because
We'll get to that, but go ahead.
yeah, at this point, after 4 brain injuries, I am
Yeah.
on 5 different medications. I'm on 2 different sleep medications because I just could not go to sleep, and then when I did, I slept too much. I slept about 12 to 15 hours, you know, if I was left to sleep. So I was on 2 different sleep meds. I was on a muscle relaxer. I was on antidepressant meds, Wellbutrin, to, you know, kind of get me up in the
Yep.
morning to go because I was so sluggish. You know, after these brain
Yeah.
injuries, you don't really realize how many things go through the front of your brain. Like this lobe is everything for your personality, making decisions, not going all in when you shouldn't. I mean, your personality, your decisions. Yeah, it's all there. So that's what was actually injured. I had two hemorrhages from the 4 bad jumps. I had 2 hemorrhages in my prefrontal cortex.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, it was.
If you wake up and you can't smell the coffee pot calling your name, there's a problem.
There you go. I mean, that was it. The woman that I was with at the time, she actually did a little bit of staying up at night for, I'm not even sure how long, but apparently I was told that I was sleepwalking. I was sleepwalking and trying to drive. I was actually stopped at the front door one night, and then another couple of times I was pulling knives out of the kitchen block because apparently I was going to cook, but I was totally asleep. So
what the fuck?
Yeah, that was those were some of the things that I had to contend with when it came to, all of these, collateral effects, head injuries. Okay, you get a headache, you kind of ring your bell a little bit. No.
But it kept pounding on top of itself because 80 second, and you can't get your jump pay unless you freaking jump. But you weren't, first and foremost, you weren't properly diagnosed the first time. You weren't properly freaking taken care of medically the first time. Therefore, you had multiple freaking continuances of abrasions to the same freaking injury.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is like every head injury was the mechanism was the same every time. It was always hitting and going backwards. It's every single time. So it just kept hitting it. There's actually a gentleman that I would sincerely like to thank. His name is Patrick McNamara. That man was my occupation. He was my vestibular therapist. That man had me stand on one foot and balance like a gymnast more times than I really am okay with. But he pushed me to get better. He pushed me to get through all of the frustration, to get back, to try and get away back, because ultimately I didn't get back. That's the most, I think, I would probably say the hardest part about that is that I didn't come back from it.
Well, I'd really like you to, and I realize we're going to have to break this up for our next session, but please dive into the struggles and moving forward with everything you dealt with, because this is exactly what we want to share with the audience, so that way they know what. I mean, it's not all freaking peaches and cream when we're in the military.
No.
Please continue and dive more into this.
All right. So with those 4 brain injuries, I had a nurse practitioner, I had a team of therapists, and I also had the profiles that I was telling you about. They told me not to read. They told me not to read. They told me not to look at a screen for more than 15 minutes. They told me not to come in to work until 9 a.m. I was forbidden from doing PT. I mean, everything was on a severely limited schedule. And
so you had a team of practitioners, but what was that team encompassed with? Because they're not just all nurses or general practitioner nurses. What was the team?
So the nurse practitioner was kind of like a case manager. And then, so that was like the overall health. And then there was vestibular therapist. So that was that was either a PhD candidate or like a master's degree holder. I don't really remember, but they were definitely medical, but they weren't a doctor or a doctor yet. They were definitely a physical therapist.
In what capacity?
So vestibular was just for my balance, like my inner ear stuff. So yeah.
Please.
And then
I'm asking so that you can share with the audience, brother.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah. So the vestibular therapy was all about like hand-eye coordination, balance, movement in space, finding your body in space. Like, you know how you close your eyes, you can stand straight up?
Yep.
I would fall over.
Yep.
I would legitimately fall over because my inner ear was messed up from the head injuries.
Yeah.
So
You had everything. Yeah. I get it.
I did. I had a talk therapist because I was depressed. I was severely.
Your speech was impaired.
Yeah, my speech was also impaired too. I actually had they're not allocution lessons, but they're definitely speech therapy as well because I had a severe stutter. I couldn't get words out. So
God.
yeah, you couldn't you can't write this stuff. I had to learn how to walk appropriately again, and I had to learn how to talk appropriately again. So I had four head injuries that caused me to lose my capability to speak like an adult and walk like an adult.
And you were in pain in addition?
Yeah. I had back pain and knee pain, neck pain. I mean, all the normal stuff that everybody goes through. You know, it's just what it was. I mean, not only do you have to deal with like the PTs, like the hurt and like the field hurt that you get that you just, power through. This was stuff that was way harder. And
you're still active duty, right, during this period of time?
Yes, I'm still active duty. I'm still active duty during this time. I'm still in North Carolina. I'm still with my brigade. I'm still doing my job.
Yeah, you're dealing with one freaking light duty chit after another, and degradation of job performance because you can't freaking do it. And I mean, holy shit, man.
So Daniel, we are going to be running out of time, and what I really want our viewers to tune in next week, because your story is very, very powerful, and this is what Stephen is trying to get to at this moment, and I just interrupted him. But can you leave in your own words a little bit about what it is that you're going to talk about with our next time together that is powerful? Could you please, in your own words?
Well, I was fighting for my life. I ended up, as a result of these head injuries, I ended up being, like I said, severely depressed. And out of all that, I am a 4-time suicide survivor. And this was all outside of the military too.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk next week. We're gonna talk more about the end of your service, the rest of the stuff that you dealt with medically. 4-time suicide survivor, brother. I don't need to say this. My audience knows us, both Staci and I. We are here for you no matter what happens.
Thank you very much.
You're never alone. You're never alone. And we're going to pick this up the next time, next week. God willing, you have time to spare with us so that we can hear this more story about this. We're not done unveiling this for the audience. This is amazing.
Now they have the lead up, and then next week it's going to get deep.
I'll tell you what, like next week is going to be, I mean, like I said, fighting for my life, finding the inspiration wherever I could to keep going. And it's not easy, but it's not hard.
No, and I get that. So, but what I am going to say is this. I said one of two. We may be one of 4. I don't know yet. We'll get there. But I am going to say this. Daniel, thank you very much for joining us tonight. All of our audience, we love you. We're going to get out of here. And remember, the path to freedom is paved with courage.
And honor is
the wire we never trip.
That's right. Love you guys. Check in next week. God bless.